What's up, guys? Chris, VA Travels, and I'm down here in North Carolina. I'm in Kinston, North Carolina, and I'm going to visit the CSS Neuse Museum. It's a museum that houses what's left of the CSS Neuse. It's a Confederate ironclad pulled out of the Neuse River. So you're going to take a look at the remains and some of the artifacts that were found. And yeah, right now I'm on a road trip. I'm going to be bouncing around the Carolinas for the next few days. Like I say, right now I'm in Kinston. Next stop's going to be Fayetteville. Then shooting down to Columbia, South Carolina, coming back up to Charlotte, going to stop off in Greensboro, and then headed back up to Fredericksburg. And before I get started, I wanted to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, Bill Molyneux. He designs these French and Indian war games for fast play war games. And yeah, a good thing to check out if anybody's into wargaming. And probably the best thing about it is it's very educational for someone like me from Virginia who is just below the action. And yeah, I really took a deep dive. I'm now familiar with all the forts, all the generals involved. So yeah, it's a pretty cool game to check out. All right, I'm gonna see what's inside. Pretty good sized building. And they've got the Neuse 2 that you can visit in an above ground replica, but they're only open on Saturdays, so yeah, not gonna be able to hit that one. And I'll let you know how much tickets are once I get inside. But yeah, this thing's open every day but Monday, 9 until 5 p.m. I'm sorry, Monday and Sunday they're closed.
Ironclads for defense in North Carolina. The CSS Albemarle on the Roanoke River.
Alright guys, just checked in. First display is on this Lieutenant Francis and the officer on the Neuse. And I was reading over here, at one time he participated on an expedition up the Rappahannock River. And there's his 49 Colt pocket pistol. And there it is, what's left of the Neuse. And I'll take a closer look at that in a bit. Just to let you know, tickets on it's $5, and you watch a little 10-minute movie just talking about the history of the ship. Over here, just talking about the importance of the river, how it was vital to transportation, and the establishment of the town. It was first attempted 1758, and 1762 it was named Kinston after King George III down there. There's Governor Arthur Dobbs. And sorry, I'm not as familiar with North Carolina history. Okay. Yeah, we're kind of in the central eastern portion of the state. And it looks like the Atlantic and North Carolina Railroad ran through here to Greensboro and then on up to Raleigh, to give you an idea of kind of where we're at. Big map of the area. Okay, you can see where the town was established, right in the little bend of the river there. The making of a gunboat, a radical naval experiment. And yeah, it took over a year for the construction because the South, the Confederacy, was low on supplies. And yeah, they really had to forge for the iron. As a matter of fact, they didn't even plate the deck. The deck was still wood. The casemate up here was surrounded by 2 layers of iron. Iron came from Atlanta. I would assume it probably came from Tredegar, but it didn't. Another map. Kinston right there. Confederate fortifications on a little further downriver. Blockade right here. Ironclads, North Carolina, and the Albemarle is not too far from here. All right, there's the Raleigh. Yeah, the Albemarle sister ship. And not too far from here, they've got it floating above river. I don't know if it's a replica or not, but I know not too far from here you can visit. There it is, 1865. Why ironclads? I'm going to pause and read some of these. There's Secretary of the Navy, Stephen R. Mallory, and experienced Navy officer over here, why ironclads, and pretty much the success of the CSS Virginia, the original ironclad. And it had success ramming a couple wooden Northern naval ships, and then it fought the USS Monitor, the Union ironclad, to a draw down there in Hampton Roads. And yeah, so after that, they really went for it. They built as many as 50 ironclads. 26 were commissioned. So there it is right there. And it's designed, had a diamond hull. And one of its biggest, pretty sophisticated drawing right there. Yeah, one of its biggest weapons were its reinforced nose that was used as a battering ram. And you can imagine that thing went right into the side of a wooden ship. Yeah, and the specs, 158 feet long, 34 feet wide. And 6 of the ironclads were designed with this diamond hull. Spar torpedo. Whitehall Wonder, and yeah, this is where the hull was built, not too far from here. And after the hull was built, it was moved here to Kinston. That's where it was outfitted with iron. Weapons were added. And made of pine, local pine. And it also talks about how there weren't enough naval officers in the South, so they had some. And over here, all right, some artifacts, tunnels. Head of a mallet, some caulking irons. And then over here, I see some nails, spikes, bolts. Alright, so an auger, looks like a hatchet head, axe head. And this thing over here, number 6, is a swage block. Hot irons were inserted into the block holes to be shaped into armored bolts. Okay. And use in transportation. Alright, just talking about the railroad. Wow, yeah. Okay, looks like the hull back here. Or no, is this where the battering ram? Or at the front of the bow, I guess, actually. And you can see they've got the, they kind of made up a shell there where the casemate was up there. Yeah, you can see where the guns would have came through. And they had a rotating gun deck where they could kind of back the cannon up and, yeah, reposition it. Yeah, like I say, made of pine. You see the bolt holes. There's the casemate right there. Let me walk over here real quick. Another old map of the town. The invoice of supplies, including the ship's bell. Oh, alright, so this is armor plate right here. I'll be good and won't touch. Okay, yeah, the ship's bell up there, Sierra 1863. Okay, grappling hooks, chains. There's part of the ship's ladder. You can tell that thing was kind of deteriorated. And a bunch of hinges, locks down here, door handles. A couple pulleys, hooks, part of a rope. Alright, the casemate layers. Okay, pretty thick too. Like I said, it was two 2-inch iron plates, some oak, pine, and more pine. So yeah, pretty thick. 5 casemate fragment. Number 3. Okay, here's the longer armor plate right here. And this is a grating mount from the steam boiler. And those are some ballast stones used to kind of balance and weight the ship. Alright, so check out the casemate over here. Cool, yeah, you can kind of walk up and look down into it. A lot of information in here. Alright, so I guess a little rescue boat, kind of lifeboat type thing. Dang. Yeah, these had a range 2.5 to 3 miles. And how it was power. There's the firebox, the engine, steam, the exhaust. And so shovel, scraper, big wrench. Over here, looks like you can have some interactive stuff. Tie some buoy knots. Oh, alright, you can walk in here. Okay, cool. Alright, so here's where the ship the captain steered the bell. I'm gonna ring it. And I guess he would look through these little holes. Oh yeah, you can't go past these ropes. Stand over here. Okay, so you can see how they would back it up. Like I say, pivot. You can fire from all angles. Firebox down there. A couple pulleys. And I'm sure it took several men to reposition that thing. Alright, yeah, cool. And some artillery over here. Yeah, it's canister, lid from a gunpowder tank, and shell storage. Tackle, wheel from the gun carriage, rail, bolts. I wonder if this was made up in Tredegar. I don't know, but yeah, 6.4 if you want the specs. And yeah, here's a shell right here, and right here is the little trigger that would ignite the gunpowder, and some canister shot, rifle bolt, 120-pound bolt, and there's some grape shot there. That thing would cause some damage. And there it is in action. Yeah, it looks like a big crew to reposition, and more interactive stuff. You can turn the wheel, looks like. Handles, I guess this is what's left of the what moves the rudder, I guess. Probably should be reading this stuff a little bit. Okay. There you go. That's how you steer. Crew overview. Looks like captain,
And there's a Colt rifle, Colt pistol. Confederate officer's uniform. Yes, fly Colt trousers. Franklin Pierce. I'm going to pause, read through this a little bit. Of course, I have to look at the money. $500, $100. There's a 50. And William Sharp, he took command of the Neuse, December 1863. All right, here's the roster. Uniform and equipment. And a lot of these guys weren't too experienced. A lot were moved over from the Army. Flag officer, captain, lieutenant, and the surgeon. All kind of look the same, but this is a sailor's uniform. Buttons, bullets. Leather shoe sole. Cutlass and bayonet. Kind of French looking. Okay, yeah, of course, sleep on hammocks. Folding stool. Rations. Yeah, they pulled up a lot, it looks like. Dutch oven. Bunch of fish hooks, flasks, bottles. Wine bottle. Okay, there's the ship stove. And on the ships they always had this bar wrapping around just to prevent pots and pans from flying around. Yeah. Okay. The cruel war is over. And a little entertainment on the ship. Harmonica fragment. All the duties, scrubbing the floor. Stowing the hammocks, mattresses. Some leg irons. And what is number 8? A scrub brush. What's left? Pepper bottle up there, a shoe, boot. Last shot. So this thing, I think I mentioned earlier, this thing ended up being scuttled March 1865, towards the end of the war. And yeah, under Union attack, and rather than giving over the boat, they had the casemate set on fire. It sank, which put out the fire. And yeah, that's all she wrote. So it was shortly after Sherman had entered North Carolina. Kind of the walls were caving in, so yeah, they scuttled it. All right, so here we go. Close look. Okay, this is a lot about its resurrection. And I had already read 1863, right around the 100-year anniversary. Early 1960s, I'm sorry. Yeah, they pulled it up. These salvagers right here actually had it pulled up, and it was pulled up not for historical or archaeological purposes, but as a money-making venture. So they didn't do a very good job. They actually sawed it in 3 parts, and it was first stored under this shelter. This is 1969, and there's its second home. And yeah, it barely survived Hurricane Floyd. And then eventually this building was built, and this thing was opened on the 150th anniversary of the war. Okay, I'm gonna walk upstairs. Take a quick look at the model over here. All right, so here's a little, I guess kids can, yeah, this is kind of the children's center, but just, yeah, you can walk in, lay down in this naval tent and see how an officer lived. Okay, yeah, so here it is. Like I say, wooden deck. The Brooks rifles. And I don't know what those are. Engine down there. Cool little diorama. All right, I'm gonna walk up. The enemy and espionage. A couple spies over here. Rose O'Neill Greenhow, renowned Confederate spy. So she was a spy as well. And big drawing over here. This is the James Bennett House, and it's where General Johnston surrendered to Sherman. And that would be May 27th, 1865. Yeah, here it is. And here's the actual surrender. I wonder if that's a place you can visit. Look into that. And so March 8th, Sherman entered North Carolina. And yeah, that's where the walls were closing in. That's when they decided to scuttle the Neuse. And yeah, the Neuse was destroyed by her crew March 11th. So yeah, it's 3 days after Sherman arrived in North Carolina. And battle near Kinston. All right, so it's kind of dark, but there it is. What's left. Pretty neat. Let's take a look at these rifles. Confederate States of America, loan, $30. Some bonds, more artifacts, pocket knives over there, officer's hat. Spencer carbine, ammunition. A couple carriage boxes. Yeah. Sherman's raid. Yeah, that's where the Union Army really took the gloves off. There he is, Pickett. at this thing, a little video. A 12-pounder howitzer. It's gonna be a minute. All right, so colored officers, George Johnson. He was one of 1,000 black men who joined the United States Colored Troops. Cavalry jacket. Couple belt buckles right here, belt plate. Another knife there in the middle, shoe buckle. More on the Battle of Kinston. So yeah, Whitehall, where it was constructed, the hull. Yeah, New Bern down there. And yeah, the ship, one of the reasons it was delayed, it was not just the foraging for iron, but the ship was actually attacked while being built, which delayed it, I think for about a month, 6 weeks. Couple of the regiments around here. Ooh, the People's Heritage People's House, Harmony Hall. All right, yeah. Roanoke Island, Hatteras Island. Wilmington down there. Pretty good map showing you all the railroads. Yeah, Burnside, he was involved in the Battle of Roanoke. Yeah, Burnside and this Goldsboro capture Roanoke Island. Winfield Scott and the big master plan, the Anaconda plan. Block off all the ports. Slave populations. More on the colored troops. Quote over here by Frederick Douglass. Pretty nice looking uniform right there. General's coat. Richard Gatlin wore this uniform. There he is. Served in the Seminole Wars. A little write-up about him. On the home front. Fancy dress here, ball gown. Popular in the 1860s, upper class fashion. Bunch of looms, spinning wheels over here. Making the uniforms, I'm guessing. Alright, so I guess this is kind of women and children. Woman of the Confederacy, North Carolina, soldier's wife, song sheet. Wheelwright, repairing the railroad. And this must be some sort of mock-up of a store. $5, $10. Tax records over here. Alright, so I wasn't sure if it was cotton or tobacco, but it looks like major cash crop cotton around here. Cologne water. Some tools. Kind of overcast out there. Oh yeah, the Neuse too. I told you there's an above ground replica. Oh there, yeah, right there. And yeah, like I say, just opened on Saturday. So next time I'm in the area, I'll swing by, take a look at it. But yeah, you can go inside. Religion, obviously a church over here. Methodist Church. Prayer books, a couple booklets, social activities. Some jewelry over here. Fancy necklaces. Couple brooches. Oops. Bonnet over here. Big quilt. Mourning the dead soldiers. And all right, I'm gonna get out of here, hit the road. See you on the next one.